Hambini fans, and welcome to another episode of the Hambini Show. In today's episode we have this, which is a Trek Emonda SLR, or is it SLR? ALR, sorry. It's the aluminium version of Trek's frame. Now this was sent to me by a chap from the UK, and what happened was he bought a Hambini bottom bracket and then took it, well actually one of these mobile cycle mechanics came along and tried to fit it, and at which point they got it stuck. So he sent it here for me to have a look and to fix it. This is the Trek Emonda frame. It is aluminium and it's been welded, so it's basically tubes that are extruded and then welded. This bottom bracket, which we'll come to in a second, is BB86. The frame is extremely lightweight for an aluminium bike. The quality of the welds, I'm not too sure about because they've been painted over. And I haven't bothered scanning this because it's aluminium, so what can you do about it? Not a lot. Overall frame, I mean, it visually looks very good, but there are some issues with aluminium, and the biggest problem with aluminium is when you join it. So this tube, this tube, this tube and this tube have all been welded. As you apply weld to the frame, it distorts. Now, one of the big problems with aluminium is the distortion and then machining afterwards. Now it looks to me like this head tube has been machined afterwards. Now the reason for that is this wall thickness where the weld is way too thin to have machined, to have pre-machined and then welded it afterwards. Now a lot of unscrupulous, can't remember the right word, basically wankers in the bicycle industry, a lot of them, even the carbon ones, they take standard tube, machine it first, weld it, and then give you it. In the case of you know, an aluminium or a steel bike, and those bottom brackets are always on the piss, the headsets are on the piss, and all these other things. Now they do have jigs and things which they say will alleviate this distortion, but it's complete fucking bullshit. It won't stand up in any court of law. In the case of carbon fibre, so you do get these bespoke carbon fibre manufacturers, they again use tubes and then they almost wrap the corners like a bandage, and then with this stuff called prepeg, no, I can't even talk properly, sorry, and then get it baked, and you get the same kind of thing happening. You get the distortion. Now one of these twats who does this is a guy called Filament Bicycles. He's called Richard Craddock and he's a grade A worker, so don't buy a bike from him. Anyway, this bottom bracket is well and truly stuck, so the first thing we need to do is get this out. Now it's likely that this, well, it may have friction welded itself in, but before we go any further, let me just show you the alignment, because when I picked this frame up, I took one look at it and thought, this is completely ridiculous. So I'm just going to visually show you the misalignment. This is the drive side, and what I've done is I've made a little, well, I don't know what you would call that. It's a concentric device. Now, if I put that into the drive side, I'm hoping you can see that on the top there, it's flush. Pretty much. But on the bottom, it sticks out. It sticks out by a couple of mil. Let's just see if we can show you that. Might just get a ruler. It'd be easy to show. Let me do that. Alright, so we've gone for a set square, but that'll do. Okay, it is clear there. If we turn this around, up here, it's clear. It's way past it, absolutely way past it, and I can show you the same thing on the other side. This is much more obvious because there's a gap there, but there's no gap there. If I put the straight edge on it, clearly see what the problem is there, so it's misaligned. I don't know if this has been drilled from this side and then flips over and then drilled from the other, but when we remove this we'll probably be able to find out. So to make it easier for us to remove this, I'm going to extract the bearing using my homemade bearing extraction device. I can get it in. Oh, there we go. I need to shift it. Ooh, that is tight. Blimey. Okay, so that's one bearing out. God, that was tight. Jeez. Oh yeah, look what it's done to the bearing. The bearing puller. It's completely bent it. Oh well. Never mind. Right, flip it over and let's do the other side. With that bearing, I don't know if you can hear it rumbling, but it's crikey, it feels horrible. So that's a fag bearing. That actually spins quite well now I've removed it from the frame, but it will have Brunelled from removing. Right, so let's get this one out. Don't know how many more times this puller is going to go. It's not really designed to pull something that's that tight out. Bearing number 2 removed. Now I need to take the sleeve out. So we're ready to pull this out. All I can say is whoever drilled this needs to be shot. I'm just going to get this socket set up. They were clearly a complete fucking imbecile. Oh, right, so I've got the press set up, so hopefully this will come out. Oh god, that's tight. Oh god. I think we need a spot of freeze spray now, because that ain't going nowhere. So this is now getting to ridiculously pissing levels. I've had to use my 2-foot 600mm breaker bar to get this to turn. It is so tight. Fucking hell. I don't know. I think this is gonna... have trashed the bottom bracket shell. We'll see. Ooh. Oh my words. God, Bennett. Jesus Christ. Fuck. I'm going to stop here, get this out, and then show you what we've got afterwards. Because it's just taking forever. So you're rejoining me after about half an hour of fucking around. Managed to get the bottom bracket out. You can quite clearly see something going on the drive side, but nothing on the something going on the non-drive side, but basically perfect on the drive side. Now, so this is my bottom bracket, and I can pretty much certify that when it went out the door, it was to the correct dimension. But if we look at the frame tells a different story. Now, there are all those do-gooders there that say I shouldn't use a vernier, but just for an initial measurement, if I show you the drive side, 40.99, so that is pretty much in spec. Now there's going to be a bit of inaccuracy with the vernier, but you know, that ties in with that, because the two fits have been perfect. There's not a mark on it. Okay, if we turn it over to the other side, which is the non-drive side, 40.77, 40.78. Highest I got there was 40.9. Let's try a bit more. 40.61. Wiggle, wiggle. This is just complete fucking shit. Absolute shit. This needs to go back to Trek for them to have a look at, because this is a machined hole. So whoever's machined this side hasn't done their job properly. Now if you look inside the bottom bracket, so this is the drive side, there's nothing really there. If you look on the non-drive side, it's completely fucked to pieces. Right, well, we start the section of the show with PowerPoint. It's my favourite bit because then I go a bit off the wall. Now, I usually pick a topical title for all of this, and I was scraping the barrel because I couldn't really decide what adjective that was suitable in terms of shiteness was worthy of this frame. And I feel as though I've underdone myself. If you've got a comment, whack it in the box below. Trek proves that welded aluminium frames are just as shite. So there is a thought out there that if you go and buy a welded aluminium or titanium frame, something like that, it will be fine. This is just fucking shit. And I was struggling to think of a worse word than shite. Yeah, just unbelievable. Fucking unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. By Hambini, aged 5. Is my fucking pen working? Fuck. Oh, shit. Monitor 2, apply. Fuck. This is just like the shizzle. Fuck. Yeah. Right, yeah, right, okay, so that is working. Normally I come on here and say I've let you boys and girls down because I have no merchandise. Well, yeah, we've got stickers. We've got stickers. Okay, we don't have any of the By Hambini Age 5 stickers, but I'm sorting that. But we do have some stickers, so they will be going out soon. Yeah, I'll put them in like boxes with bottom brackets, and there's a few people I need to send some stickers and paraphernalia to, so they'll be getting that through the post shortly. Right, as we carry on with this, fuck, Right, Trek. Well, Trek have contributed lots to cycling, and I was struggling to think of good things that they've done for the world. So the best thing I could think of is they supplied bikes to Lance Armstrong, who is my hero, despite him being disqualified on 7 separate occasions for juicing. I mean, my thoughts on Lance are, well, every other fucker was doing it, so why don't he? I don't really have any issues with it. And I mean, let's be honest, he came back from the brink. So the guy had cancer. He was being read his last rites on his bed, and then he won. Whether he took drugs or not, okay, everyone else was doing it. But to go from where he was to what he achieved is still good. So yeah, I think a lot's been taken away from him. But anyway, that's a controversial thing. They also gave the world BB90, said it was the best thing since ejaculating, and then subsequently dropped it. But I mean, BB90 is fucking awful, man. Absolute shit. It's just shit. The bearings go directly into the frame, and if you've got any misalignment, the bearing wears its way into the carbon, and then you have to fit a bearing with 37.1mm outside diameter. And if that doesn't work, then they ream your bike frame out and fit some aluminium inserts. I've got some like pictures of that, but I'll save it for another day. They also turned the word flexible into the sexy moniker compliant. So compliant just means it's fucking flexible. Now, if you read all the tripe from the usual fuck stains, they usually say, oh, it's 27% more compliant. Well, if I could get a wife that was 27% more compliant, I'd be so happy. Right, let me show you the Trek website. Right, fuck. Right, this is the Trek website. Right, this is the new Trek Emonda. So they have just released this new disc brake bike that they market as faster for climbing. I mean, what a load of fucking shit. Faster for climbing, get a lighter bike, lose your water bottle. Anyway, it's a vain attempt. I mean, if you look at this, where it says Trek versus the older models, all I've done really is sharpen up the front end and made the down tube a bit thicker. That's about it. So it is 14 seconds faster up Alpe d'Huez, provided you can maintain 350 watts. I mean, fucking hell, I don't even get 350 watts out my power drill. How the fuck am I supposed to get it out my legs? Jesus, what do they think? That we're all on the juice like Lance Armstrong? I don't know. Oh yes, we'll click on here. Ooh, Wahnsinn! Wahnsinn! That means insane! Insanely light. Wahnsinnig schnell, insanely fast. Das komplett neue Emonda. Who's that? I don't know, some random person. Oh, is that Lizzie Dining? Died? Oh, I don't know. Fucking hell. Right, Vincenzo. Disc brakes. Rennstrecke, so the racetrack, all this whole shit, all that bullshit. I'm fed up of playing to this Trek's marketing. Anyway, so this isn't the new Emonda. This is Hambini's frame that is an Emonda ALR that some fucker sent me. Sorry, I meant some fucker, not in a derogatory way, as in some fucker. In fact, basically, everyone's a fucker. Now, one person emailed me and said, you know, is this genuinely the language you use in the engineering departments of various places around the world? And the standard greeting is, all right, cunt. You know, that's a term of endearment, and fuckers is a term of endearment. And I don't know why all these, you know, high-placed white-collar workers all around the world find it so amusing. In fact, on many forums around the world, people comment on my language more than the engineering. I mean, what the fuck do they know? Right, I've digressed enough. Shit, fuck. Right, show track was I've done that. Right, this frame has two distinct problems. Right, there's the misalignment, which is the major cause of all the fuck-ups, and the fit. Now, in fairness, the fit, you'll probably be able to get away with it if, because it's an aluminium frame, but you would just trash the bearing clearance. But because it's aluminium and ductile and not carbon, carbon doesn't stretch, it just breaks. Right, this next slide is appalling. So what we have is, I have put in here the grey line, which, oh, I need to turn the pen on, fuck. Right, the grey line, oh, fucking hell. Ah, oh, bollocks, what have I done? Fuck. Why is my pen not working? Oh, right, here we go. Right, the grey line, which is in there, is the time scale on. So that is the current dog's bollocks of bottom brackets. This is all normalised to BB86. Now, if you look at the Trek drive side, which is this orange line, you can just about make it there, it's not actually that bad. So, you know, we can get about way with it. What is appalling is the other side. Fuck. So the blue line is the non-drive side, and you can see that I might have even labelled these the wrong way around, but anyway, it's kind of immaterial. The one it's a lot smaller, and then the centre is there, or there or thereabouts, and the centre of the other side is here. So you've got that much misalignment, which is utterly fucking wank. Fuck, more coronavirus. Fuck. Right, I need a drink. So, a couple of people asked me what normalising means. Normalising means normally time scale on is BB386. So the hole's 46mm. On BB86 is 41. So all I've done is scale it basically. Right. That is, yeah, so the misalignment is utterly shit. This is the radial deviation. So if you pick, where's the fucking pen gone? Right. If you pick here and start at the bottom bracket, and then you finish here, that is a distance of 86.5mm. What that's saying is, ideally you want the centre line to be at 0 all the way across. If you measure the relative centre line between the start and the end, you are out by, on average, and it's an average, 450 microns, which is 0.45mm. Yeah. What I've done is I've overlaid, well, before that, it's got the profile of a boner. Now, I couldn't find a suitable picture that I could show on my YouTube channel of a boner. I'll leave you with that one. But I've overlaid a BB86 frame shell on it, so you can see what the deviation is doing. So you ideally want that line to be straight. Yeah, straight across there. What's actually happening is it's bent like a boner. Yeah, so that's what's happened. So what went wrong? Well, the halves are misaligned. Now, it is difficult to see in that picture, but where you've got all this sort of striations and fucked upness, that is what is known as galling. So aluminium is, it galls. So if you try and put two surfaces together and have too much friction, it effectively friction welds itself, picks up, and then you get this problem. And that's why it was such a fucker to get the thing apart. So the halves are misaligned, and you can see this defect over here, which I've got in better detail in this shot. So over here, there's this defect. So what's happened is the guy or girl Can I erase that? Pointer options, ink color eraser. Now, if you look at the other side, yeah, oh, fuck. If you look at the other side, which is here, there's no sort of defects on the hole. Yeah, there's nothing there. On this one, what's happened is he's blown a hole through here. As soon as you blow the hole through, then you need to refill the material, and that's what all this is here. And then after he's refilled it, he's ground it, and then that's why it's all flattened. You can see the grinding marks on there. So that's the problem. Now you might think, well, okay, so he's blown a hole and filled it with metal. What's the issue with that? Well, the problem is around welding. Now, welding causes what's known as a heat affected zone. So when you heat something and then weld it, you get this. So you're effectively joining two bits of metal. So one bit of metal here and the other bit of metal here. Okay, it has, because of the heat involved, you end up with this piece here, which is the weld material, and then all the way going that way, you end up with a change in the material structure. So its properties change, so it becomes less strong, brittle, all this kind of stuff changes as you carry on. The biggest problem is, as it cools, it shrinks. So that is going to be covered on the next slide, but that's what happens. It shrinks. As it shrinks, it distorts. So I mean, there's that. Now, welding aluminium is a complete bastard. It is a bastard because it's a very good conductor of heat, and if you're welding thin aluminium, it's very easy to blow a hole in it. I mean, you could just literally puncture a hole in it just by pulling the trigger once and away you've gone. So it is quite difficult. Most people TIG weld aluminium. You can MIG weld it, but TIG welding is fairly, the go-to standard really. So that's what happens. The other thing is, when you get to thin wall sections, you can distort the material after you have machined it. So you get the tube, machine it away, it passes quality control, and you'll find after 2 days the shape is not what you intended. And that's because thin walled aluminium relaxes. So if you got a Hambini bottom bracket, I mean, the material is almost irrelevant. Even in steel, titanium, whatever, when it gets to thin wall, and it's the thin wall, not the material, that's the problem, I always let it relax. Let it relax for a couple of days, a day, 2 days, and then you'll find that the dimensions change, and then it probably need a tickle. Once you've done the final tickle, then away it goes. The other problem is this, and that is the strength. So welded joints, and specifically around here, so in the heat affected zone it's called, those joints are significantly weaker. So this is that. So the ultimate strength is down from there to there. So that's your difference. So if it's stress in newtons per millimeter squared, so that's the same as megapascals. So you're 260 down to 160. So you're lost over a third of your strength, and the joint is brittle. So that's the issue there. Right, this is kind of an illustration of it. So this is your round tube, so let's call it the bottom bracket, and let's say that is part of the chainstay and that is the other part of the chainstay, and you need to join these three parts together. What you'll end up with is this. Now you can see this orange bit is the weld material, but if you look carefully in this area, it has distorted the tube, so the tube is no longer round. This can happen to carbon as well. So one bottom bracket I got involved with was a chap from Switzerland. He bought a bike from a guy called Richard Craddock, who runs a company called Filament Bikes somewhere in the West Midlands. And Richard Craddock was measuring the tubes before he put the bike together, and almost bandaged the pre-preg carbon around it, baked it, and then was sending them out. Now I got one of these, and my bottom bracket went straight through, went absolutely straight through the frame. And he wasn't really that interested. He didn't even, to be honest, I don't think he had a clue. So I think he's in line for a roasting shortly. The thing to do with this is, first of all, you need to machine it after you've welded it. You might think, well, that's pretty obvious. Well, you'd be surprised the number of bike builders that don't do that, because it's actually very difficult to hold the bike afterwards to machine it, because you can't do it in a lathe. You'd have to do it in a boring machine or a milling machine. Again, you need to let the material relax before you do the final machining, because you get residual stress, and then you could use post-welding heat treatment. Now on aluminium, it's a bit of a grey area, because as you do the post-welding heat treatment, the material properties change, so you could make it weaker. So that's why there's T4, T6 and all that kind of stuff exists. So it's the heat treatment that's involved. Now the fixes for this are not straightforward. The first few fixes I could think of were, well, to slash my wrists, pour citric acid onto someone's face, fire some semi-automatic weapons at someone's head, Prozac, cocaine. What I'm really trying to say is this is not something that is easily fixable. So I recommended this, so I sent the frame back and said you should go back to Trek and take it up with them. I don't know what happened after that, but this is pretty appalling. It's just shit, really. Absolute shit. Completely undefensible. You just cannot defend this, because it's just dreadful. Right. Now we come on to the cuntish shitbag scale of engineering fuckwittism, with the usual suspects. Right, the lick, the shears, not a shitbag, borderline shitbag, definite shitbag, cuntish shitbag, add speck of shite on the ends of humanity. We have SRAM in definite shitbag, borderline shitbag area. Just tolerances. Tolerances. Bollock heads who believe wider tyres are faster. They're the same as last week. I haven't changed that one. Spokeless CFD. A number of people. Sorry, my coronavirus is really bad. I blame those individuals who go riding in the middle of a lockdown filming themselves for spreading it. Right, and then reporting to the police. So Spokeless CFD, a bunch of idiots. And the other thing I've read was some fuckstain said our disc wheel is 12 watts faster than Joe Bloggs' disc wheel. What a load of fucking shit. The drag difference comes from a solid boundary. The aerodynamics of a disc wheel is like trying to describe the aerodynamics of a penis. Now I believe, well, yeah, I can't say that bit. Right, anyone who is not French, so vive la France, allez les bleus. Shimano, right, they are heading towards the left, because they still haven't sorted my rear mech out. Now, a guy from Merlin Cycles called Rick did contact me, and I replied to him saying, you know, where's me rear mech? And I haven't had a reply back, so I'm hoping he's chased it up with Shimano or Madison or whoever it is. Right, the Lux 695. Oh, I fucking want one of them. Might have ordered one. Have I spelled that right? If you're in New Zealand, please tell me if I've spelled that right or not, because I'm not quite sure. I've probably spelled it wrong, but I am dyslexic, and I'm 5. So there we go. Right. Fruitcake middle-class time trialists who think they are fast. I found that these middle-class fruitcake time trialists like to have discussions about me and my language and not the engineering. I mean, this is just pure entertainment, fuckstains. Right. Anyone who thinks H7 is a size. Now, I have a book. Allow me to get my book. Where's my fucking use book? Ah yes, I gave my Zeus book to Jimmy from nursery. I was trying to get into his mum's knickers and I failed. But yes, Jimmy from nursery has my Zeus book. FSA! Time Skylon. Oh, that is a good buy. And Trek. Now, Trek are in country shitbag, definite shitbag territory. Now, there's all these people who'll say, oh, you've got a sample size of 1. Well, you should have a sample size of 0. Nothing like this should get through the door because it's utterly fucking wank. Right, that brings us to the end of this presentation, and that actually brings us to the end of this video. Normally, you see me fix these things, but you have to draw a line somewhere and know when to walk away. And that is with this Trek frame. So they have the enviable position of a frame that Hambini couldn't fix. So yeah, if you're out there going to buy a Trek Emonda, then just watch this and, you know, think about it. Right, if you've got any questions, then use the comment box below. I do read them all. Try and reply to a lot of them, but I can't reply to most of them. Remember to check out the website and all that kind of other stuff. I've now started putting links on the bottom of my videos. I'm not sponsored by anybody, but if you find something that's good, I'll put it on the bottom of there. Thanks very much, and until next time, bye. Sorry, I meant